Floating beaded necklaces can be tricky, especially multi-strand ones. So today I'm going to teach you how to make this floating necklace. What's going on, my fellow jewelers? So I love this necklace. It's one of my favorite styles I've ever made in my whole jewelry career. And so today I'm gonna take you through step by step, showing you the tips and tricks so that you feel comfortable by the end making it. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe my channel if you haven't already, but let's dive right in right now. All right, we have a lot of components when it comes to this necklace. The beads, the wire, you're gonna need a lot of crimping beads. Crimping beads is what keeps the beads in place. You're gonna need your findings. I mean, like a lot of stuff. I'm gonna take you step by step, don't worry. The first thing you're gonna need to do is you're gonna need to cut your wire. I'm doing a 0.45 millimeter gauge because it's thicker than the 0.30, and I just feel like it keeps the beads there better with a crimping bead. The first thing you want to do is you want to cut your middle strand to be about 16 inches for your middle strand. And then depending on if you want your strand for the three to be really close together, like one on top of each other, then they're all going to be 16 inches. But if you want the strands to be kind of like have a little layering going on, then your first strand is going to be less than 16 inches, maybe about like 15 and a half. And then your next strand, this strand I made right here, is like 16 and a half. Depending on what you want to do, if you want to have them clumped together, which looks really pretty, or if you want them layered, which I think looks just as beautiful, then it just depends on how the length of your strand. Does that make sense? So I cut my strands. So I'm doing a layering, right? I'm doing a layering where they're not all clumped together. And so the middle is 16 for me, then 15 and a half, and then 16 and a half, okay? I always make these when I am doing my floating necklace because I want my beads to be exactly the same width apart. So get a piece of paper. You can get a ruler, but I feel like it doesn't do as good and it's not as easy to work with as if you marked it on a piece of paper. So I did 1 inch or 2.5 centimeters. And this is my measuring stick. I already did my first 2 strands. I want my beads to be staggered, right? So they're not right next to each other. I accidentally did on the end right next to each other. So for this bead, I put it like less than 1 inch before the end of the wire because you're gonna need room to put it in your clamshell. All 3 are gonna go in the clamshell, and this middle one, I needed enough space to get it in the clamshell. Man, there's a lot of technicalness to this necklace, but you're gonna be okay. Just if you get lost, just rewind my video. There's a lot going on, but I'm gonna take you slowly step by step, okay? Just follow me. Here we go. Here we go. I more measure according to that middle strand, right? So this one, I'm like, this is where I want it. But then after that, these 2, I go, this is my measuring stick, like where I want my bead. So we're gonna take our crimping bead and I'm going to put it, so I'm gonna measure these so they are flush to each other because that's how it's gonna be in my clamshell. And I'm gonna take my pliers and I'm gonna put it I'm gonna measure it where I want it. Yes. And the reason I'm not doing it in the middle is because my bead's gonna go in the middle. So I might want my crimping bead just slightly up and then my bead, right? So watch. Let me show you. I did my crimping bead. I crimped it on there. And see, that's where my bead is gonna fall. And I like that, right? Like it's kind of similar to this necklace. Perfect. Now that we have the bead down, you're going to want to put your next crimping bead on, and you're going to want to crimp it like that. For every bead, you're going to need 2 crimping beads because those 2 crimping beads keep that bead in its place, in the necklace. Now we use our measure. We measure, okay? So you can do one of 2 things to measure. One, you can get a permanent marker. So when I do this, I put my crimping bead right on my mark, right? I don't put my bead on the mark. I put my crimping bead where my mark is. And then I go over here and I mark it with my pen, okay? So that's one way to measure. The next way is you just put your crimping bead right on the mark. Let me show you. Put your crimping bead right in the mark and you crimp it without even marking it. So let me show you. Let's say I didn't even mark it. I'm gonna get my crimping bead. Okay, and I'm going to slide it down. And then let's say I didn't mark it. I have the one I have for this bead, and then I'm gonna put the new crimping bead on the mark and I'll crimp it there. So you can do either way. You can either mark your spot on your wire and then put the crimping bead and find the mark, or you can just bring the crimping bead to your spot and crimp it right then and there, okay? Either way is a good technique. So then I'm going to take my bead, yes, and I'm gonna put it down, and then I'm gonna take another crimping bead, and I'm going to put that, and I'm going to push my bead. So when I'm doing this, I'm pushing my bead, I'm giving it a little force, so it's pushing against this crimping bead. So I'm gonna push it, and I'm going to crimp it like this, just like that. You want your crimping beads to be really crimped, because if they're just kind of crimped, it's easy for it to get loose and for that bead to move. So make sure your crimping bead is really crimped. It's really crunched down well. It's really crunched down well. So then we're gonna do the same thing. It's just a pattern, right? Where I'm taking my crimping bead and I'm putting it on, and I'm gonna grab it and not mark it. So I'm gonna grab it and then I'm gonna crimp it right on there. And then I'm gonna put my next bead on, like so. See, once you get the hang of it, once you get your flow, it's not so bad, okay? It's not so bad. And then the last step is just putting your crimping bead on so that you have that one beautiful bead staying in place. Yes, 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 yes. So just like that. So we're gonna do that pattern. I'm doing an inch between each one all the way through. And then when we get towards the end, I will show you what to do. So right now I'm gonna fast forward for you and then show you the next step. All right, now that I have done most of it, I'm at the end. The end is pretty crucial, right? Because we don't want to put our bead too close to the end, or it's going to be hard to put in our clamshell. But I made the mistake yesterday of when I pre-made these strands, of putting the beads too close together. Like, it's really, I don't like when they're right next to each other, because it is a little bit harder to get in your clamshell, and so I need it more staggered. So I have enough room to put another bead in. I might put it just a little bit lower so it's not right next to that bead, okay? So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna measure a little bit different. So I'm gonna take one of my crimping beads, and I'm gonna put it on my wire. And then I don't want it higher because it'd be too high for this, but I wanna do it a little bit lower. So I'm not gonna measure my 1 inch. I'm gonna go about right here, and then I'll put my bead on. Yeah, that's pretty good. I still don't like them that close together at the end, because it's so hard that they're just bumping each other and right next to each other when it comes to just before the clasp, because it is more annoying, but it's fine. It's gonna be okay. So I'm gonna put my last crimping bead on, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put all these in a clamshell to get ready. We're getting towards the end. This necklace takes a lot of work. It really does. So now we're going to put this in our clamshell. The temptation would be to cut this excess off, but I purposely did this excess to stagger my beads. So now I'm gonna put all 3 of these through my clamshell. So let's just take our time. So we're gonna do 1 through, I'm gonna put it pretty low, and then we're gonna put the next through. Oh, this is gonna be fun. And then the next through. Okay, I did it. I did it. Here we go. Whew, that took a lot. That took a lot. I did not put enough wire at the end of that one strand. Okay, so now we are putting another crimping bead. This crimping bead is way bigger than the crimping beads I have for holding the beads, because it needs to hold these 3 wires. This is about a 3 millimeter. The other crimping beads are about a 2 millimeter. So we're going to take it. We're not going to put it flush to the end. We're going to give it, we're going to have a little bit extra room, and I'm holding on for dear life so they don't slip. Like this. Oh my goodness. So now the thing you need to do, you need to add some super glue in here. Not the liquid kind, the gel kind, because it keeps it holds it better together. Whoo, we did that, y'all. We did that. We did. Okay. 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 Oh, I did not give myself a lot of room. I'm gonna cry. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna wrangle a cow just like we did the last one. We're gonna wrangle this sucker. Okay. I'm gonna put all. Ooh. We can do this. Oh, this is much easier than the last one. Apparently, I learned my lesson from the last one. We're going to take our crimping bead and put it at the end like so. We're going to, again, do not go flush. Do not put it perfectly in line with the end of it. Leave a little bit of room, please, so it doesn't slip out. There we go. And then we're going to put some glue in there, and we're going to close it up. Oh! Ooh, she's a pretty one. She's a little twisted. Doesn't matter because it looks good even twisted. Look at that. Yes, yes. Last thing we need to do is we need to add our clasp in, and we're gonna make it an adjustable necklace. We're gonna make it adjustable so that you can make it shorter or longer. I just think this necklace needs adjustability. I don't think that's even a word, but we're gonna make it adjustable and we're gonna put our clasp on now. So I'm gonna grab my jump ring. I'm gonna open it up. I'm going to put it on, and I'm going to add my chain. I think there's too much chain, so I'm going to cut my chain after I put it on. So we're going to, put our chain on. This is what makes it adjustable. This is what we need to make it adjustable. You need a big enough chain where your lobster clasp can fit through every link, can fit through each of the links, okay? So I'm going to cut, I don't need that big. I'm going to cut it in half. I got a little excited about my adjustability. And then put on our clasp on the other side. So I'm gonna get my jump ring, I'm gonna open it up, I'm going to put it through, and then I'm going to put my lobster clasp on and close it up. Oh, we did it. We did it. We did it. We did it, y'all. We did. Oh, and it's so pretty. And that, my fellow jewelers, is how you make a gorgeous floating necklace. Multi-strand, may I say. Okay, we made it through the end of my video, and that means I pray for you. At the end of my videos, I love praying for my viewers. And when I was praying about what to pray for you guys, the Lord showed me Hosea, the book of Hosea. And I don't know if you know it, but it is one of my favorite books of the Bible. It is when God asked a man that loved the Lord, was very righteous, was a prophet, to marry a prostitute. You're like, what? Yeah, it's a crazy story. It's almost like Pretty Woman, you could say. But he asked a prophet to marry a prostitute, and they had kids, but then she ran away, and he said, go get her. Like, go get her. She's running after all these lovers, running after all these guys, like, go get her. And it was a representation of where God's people were at the time. And they were running after all these things but the Lord. They were running towards a different country to provide for them. They were running towards these people that would take care of them, or after gold or riches or clothes or whatever. They were running after everything but God. And Hosea was just a representation of God loving his people, even when they were running after other things. And the Lord was just showing me that we run after other things. Like we do. We run after other things to satisfy us or make us happy. We run after the job. We run after that relationship. We run after money. We run after our kids, right? And some of these things aren't bad, but when we put them before the Lord, then they do become bad. And so the Lord wants you to stop running after everything else and run after him. May he be the first thing you run to. May he be the first thing you go to. Whether you're in need or whether you want to celebrate, whatever it is, that he would be the first thing you go to. And so, Lord, I thank you, God, that you do love us so much, even when we run after other things, that just as Hosea ran after his wife after she left him and was running after other guys and other lovers, Lord, that you are so persistent in coming after us. But Lord, I pray that we would turn our hearts away from the things that we're trying to fill that void in our hearts, and that you would be our void filler. God, that we'd run after you first, and that you would be our number one in our life. God, thank you for loving us so much that you run after us. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Oh my goodness, I love this necklace. I love it. Okay, I'll catch you in the next one. Make sure you check my other videos out right here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.